One more thing I found interesting from this press conference here at City Hall is that we've heard Chief Best. She talked about rumors that she has heard about extortion. Some people within Chaz, they are going to local businesses and they're demanding payment in return for protection. Best also said she's heard rumors of people being armed within Chaz walking around. Today, Best walked back those comments, stressing these are just rumors. They do not have any legitimate reports of either extortion or any armed guardsmen. She encouraged the public, if you have seen this, to indeed report it. But at this point, there aren't any reports of that, simply rumors. Live at City Hall, Patrick Quinn, Como News.
You are looking live right now at Seattle's Capitol Hill neighborhood. It's an area known as Chaz, or the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. You can see those protesters right there on the streets near the Seattle Police East Precinct just days after it was evacuated.
The Chaz consists of this 5-block area right near Cal Anderson Park on Capitol Hill. The
late-breaking elements as we come on the air right now, momentum building for police and the city to move against protesters inside the Chaz.
That as questions swirl about who ordered the evacuation of the East Precinct Police Station in the first place and how it's been slowing police response times across Seattle. Como's Jonathan Cho has been with protesters for 2 long weeks and kicks off our live team coverage. Jonathan?
Yeah, Eric, while demonstrators remain behind me here at the East Precinct, the mayor and police chief are trying to broker a deal with protest leaders that benefit everyone, but there is still no timeline or details.
We're just trying to open things up.
Flanked by several officers, Seattle Police Chief Carmen Best entered the East Precinct this morning for the first time in days.
The command for us to leave was so quick, we weren't able to even get our equipment out of here.
On Tuesday, hundreds of protesters occupied this area in Capitol Hill. Police thought marchers would simply pass through.
After complaining about police barricades, established their own barricades. So the streets that we wanted to be clear, now they're no longer clear.
As of now, there is no official plan or timeline for the city or SPD to take this all back.
A lot of that's going to be predicated upon, how we can facilitate getting people in here peacefully. The last thing we want is some sort of confrontation.
City officials are trying to quickly broker a deal, but because there is no centralized leadership among protesters, getting all the voices at the table remains a challenge. How much longer is everyone going to stay in this area then?
I'm not the leader, so I can't answer a question that I'm not making the decision on.
Every single person here has their own mission.
The pressure is now mounting.
I have lived on Capitol Hill for 30 years.
Some neighbors, like this woman who only wants to go by L, says it's turned into a mess.
The amount of graffiti, the amount of trash, the lack of respect for the small businesses that live here breaks my heart.
I know how incredibly difficult these past 2 weeks have been for you.
And Chief Best is also trying to deal with dropping morale at SPD, addressing officers today with this message on YouTube.
To say thank you will never probably be enough.
Well, some protest leaders are now meeting with the mayor and chief, hoping to get closer to that deal. Live from Seattle, Jonathan Cho, Como News.
Thank you, Jonathan. And as he just mentioned, for the first time since abandoning the building in Capitol Hill, some members of the Seattle Police Department returned to the East Precinct today. Chief Carmen Best allowed our cameras to follow her inside to inspect the building. Initially, there was concern that protesters had trashed the precinct, and while there was some damage inside the garage, the rest of the building appeared to be pretty much untouched. Chief Best says her goal is to reopen the precinct and have officers return to Capitol Hill. Como's Matt Markovich takes a closer look at how and when that could happen tonight at 6 o'clock.
Mayor Jenny Durkan had been relatively silent about Chaz and the events in Capitol Hill until this afternoon. Como's Patrick Quinn joins us live outside City Hall. And Patrick, some have called for the mayor and police chief to resign, are either planning on stepping down.
Well, Mayor Durkan was asked exactly about those calls for resignation, and she said neither she nor the chief of police will resign from their roles. They admitted it will be difficult to mow through this tough weeks ahead, but they're committed. And remember, at the heart of these protests, at the heart of Chaz, is the call for systematic change, especially to defund SPD. Many of you, thousands, were on these stairs just last week with signs that said defund SPD by as much as 50%. Today, the mayor said 50%. She does not support that.
And I do not think it is responsible to suggest that we will cut 50% of our officers. we need to make sure that we change the focus on, so when people call 911, they don't necessarily have a police officer show up.
The mayor said they had 17,000 crisis calls in Seattle last year. She said those calls should not necessarily be answered by the police. She admitted that SPD needs to be, quote, reimagined. Protesters, when calling to defund SPD, they want social and homeless services along with mental health calls to not be under SPD's jurisdiction. Durkin said right now she and the chief, they are prioritizing conversations with the community. We'll have more on the community's demands coming up tonight at 6. One more thing I found interesting from this press conference here at City Hall is that we've heard Chief Best. She talked about rumors that she has heard about extortion. Some people within Chaz, they are going to local businesses and they're demanding payment in return for protection. Best also said she's heard rumors of people being armed within Chaz walking around. Today, Best walked back those comments, stressing these are just rumors. They do not have any legitimate reports of either extortion or any armed guardsmen. She encouraged the public, if you have seen this, to indeed report it. But at this point, there aren't any reports of that, simply rumors. Live at City Hall, Patrick Quinn, KOMO News.